Yes, another beautiful day in the city of the gods. You know, I've been through a lot. Woo! Well, I guess we could talk about it on the way home. Usually I do the double video, one going, one coming, but this one here, I had to cool out for a minute, but there's so much going on. We don't realize sometimes, like, we have a task at hand when we are born. We're not just born and you do what the fuck you want. Excuse my language, but to make truth come out, it has to be done in a context. I can sit down. If you notice, when I sit in my videos, I speak more calm and not cursing as much. But like if I'm walking, you get to hear the truth as it is. And I learned that. You're not the same person sitting as the same person standing, walking around. Yourself is just consciousness, and you have a lot of tools and a lot of options around you. Comes up like algorithms, and you choose which one is specific for your need, that energy that you want to emit. So on that note, we've been through a lot these couple lives. I wouldn't even say years, these couple lives. And we coming from, y'all got to understand, a time of no consciousness. Souls that was beast creatures, devils, satans, demons. All right. How we get to that from all my teachings when we say we don't believe in this stuff, oh, that's not real, or the Christians made it up and all this other stuff. Well, you see, it's not in the sense of how we think it is, because as a spirit, pure that is, you can't mix with matter. Hello, how you doing? Spirit and matter is two opposites to make one thing. Look at spirit as air and water as matter. Now the thing is that, all right, you got two forces separating like oil and water. Right, one leg on top of the other. That's why you hear the spirit of God hovered over the waters or whatever. So now in between those, something is being created. Mist, moisture, vapors, and there comes life. Worms and amoebas, cells. It overshadows the earth. It gave it life by first being subatomic particles that come together for genetics, genes, and cells. And so when you're looking at everything on the whole, we ourselves have different sides to us. Many, 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 many reflections, many, 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 many parts. And it's all separated, but yet still seem like one. So, we, when we're born, have tasks. These tasks is embedded in those, you could say, fractal forms of yourself, holograms that make up a whole. It's like if you could go through the first layer, your top layer of your skin, all you're going to confront is another layer of yourself, but in more split, deformed, fragmented parts. And if you go through that one, you're going to come to you with the missing fragmented parts is in that one. And another missing one, and it goes forth maybe for thousands of them. Until you see that all of them, when you squeeze them together, it form one image, which is you. So now, like say, we don't know that these is all different splits, and we have many of these as part of the soul mansions, the many houses or temples inside the soul. You got to realize now that in it, you have like access to many, many compartments, or what we call dimensions. People see it too in the word dementia. Dementia is actually like a possession. When you have dementia, literally you see more of the electromagnetic spectrum. Your pineal is open, thus you have different visitors or ancestors, what we call entities or beings that occupy your pineal gland. Well, each one of them that occupy it brings about a different side of yourself, a different personality, a different characteristic. Look at each one as, you could say, you from when you was a child, a baby, puberty, adolescent, young person. All these is different guys. They not literally like you grew, you grew. No, literally spirits swapped off. And as spirits swapped off, the process take place of them pushing this fractal energy into you, which causes a process called growth. It's not literally like you're growing. Look at growth as every time you see that person grow from, especially the child, it's a different spirit now that come and takes over. And it keeps on adding up till you become the big you, the adult, the demion, the one who has all of them inside of you. And so you have many thoughts. You become confused. You don't know what's what anymore because the child one is the pure innocent one. You know, for you to get an example of what I mean, it's like when we have our splits in our personality, or as a shaman when we healing, it's like you go into the person's aura, and in there you will come across so much opposition at first because it's protected. It's not just protected like how they say, well, we have a magnetic field that protects us. If you was to go into it spiritually, you'd be facing some of the worst beings, some of the greatest monsters in the world that is the strongest, undefeatablest thing. It's like a germ, a disease that cannot be cured, like cancer. So look at it as cancer, as Saturn, the god Saturn. And so in you, he's like a gatekeeper in you. He protects a certain distance inside of your aura or your magnetic field, or what you call the chakra, what we call gatekeepers of the chakra, that runs like a worldwide web throughout not just your body, throughout this whole universe, many dimensions. So you got many gatekeepers in between who first came in as your growth process parts, but they became now shadow beings inside yourself. Like, look at it when you was a child, you did a lot of things and you regretted a lot of things. Your parents didn't take you to the baseball games. Your parents broke up. All these things leave disappointment in the child. The child is the God. Let me go deeper. For you to understand it, it's like you programmed every day. You programmed by your job, you programmed by people, you program mostly by your kids. Your kids is the base programmer for all human beings. And you can't resist the programming of a child. That's dead. So it's like, boom, for you to understand fully, say two adults, right? They get together. They're just going to have a rational conversation. They're not going to actually engage in any type of fun or anything that has to do with being a child, bringing out laughter, because of the simple fact the adult was designed or is inside of you as the mediator, the mentor. It only knows how to do things with instructional correctness, perfectness, such as make sure you have food, make sure you go to work, make sure you have a companion. All these things is the adult. That's why you see in old relationships, the two couples is just sitting down watching TV, chilling. Oh, I'm going to bed, baby. Oh, you good night. Oh, see you, turn over, roll over, go to sleep. See, they living in their adult ego body. There's nothing wrong with it. It aligns with adult to adult. It's a complement of each other and them not going against each other. So two adult will only ascend and go forward. The thing about it is that when they get to the adult ego, they become more unconscious and just care about each other and forget about God, their God self, and their journey through ascension, like what they was going through prior to being in the relationship when they were single. That's the messed up part about it. They only work for their family, their kids, something that they can't take with them to death. And when they go back to death, they still got to answer to their spirit guides and their spirit guides who asked them to come here and do something for them. But anyways, so now what happens is the adult is just the real mentor of everything. It's the controller. But then you also have two other ones, which is the parent and the child. These are the basic categories of egos and splits that divides into sub-egos, sub-splits and personalities. So now the parent ego is the one that always comes only up as you have children. If you don't have children or you revered your parents or looked up to your parents, it's naturally in you, but it only kicks in after you have children yourself. Or if you're like a mentor, person who loves to give advice, you got a lot of mother goddesses out there that lead people that they come to for advice. So she plays the parent ego. That's just who she is. Now, the most important, the child ego. child ego is the cause of all destruction, all chaos, all problems. But it's the renewer, regenerator. It's the purifier. It's actually transformation. How is that? You see, the child is going to tell the truth, first of all. And for the child to have been created, it had to go to some type of post-traumatic stress. Usually, the first form of this is the parent scolding the child, making them go to school, making them be obedient to them. So that's the first post-traumatic stress, when the child first see his parent that he loves so much in the door, scold him, beat him. Sometimes this causes a disassociation, and he starts to understand his reality more, but he has now different personalities. You know, I'll give you a good example. It's like when you go to school, you get the good report cards, all A, B, C. You come home and you show it to your parents. Look at me, look, Mom, I got good grades. You know, and that's good. They're like, oh, I'm proud of you and you're happy. You see, this now creates another split in your ego, where you want to please people by bringing home good grades. And so this becomes the look at me ego all the time. So you always doing things in a way to try to be the best at it, because your parents are, yo, she always get good grades, she's the best. So you live up to that. Now you get into the work field, you competitive in the work field, trying to be the best secretary, the best this, the best that, and it's a lot of pressure on you, and you're stressed out. And you're competing with yourself because you always was the best. So you create multiple splits, and you create demons in yourself, because to make this happen, you got to look at the truth of it. When that child first come with the report card and show it to the dad or the parents and say, look, I got good grades, are they just humble about it? Are they sincere in their intentions? Like, look, I got good grades. Or are they trying to say, look, I got good grades, you owe me, or look, glorify me because I'm getting good grades. The glorification looking for is where we go wrong. When we glorify them for doing that, they get used to that. And so it becomes who they are. So they grow up now with only people that glorify them, and whoever don't glorify them, they get rid of. That's their enemy by choice. Not because a person did something bad to them. It's just that they don't align with them or agree with them, so they don't like them. But they get that from the parent, the child ego. Now the child ego now, it also now becomes known because of that, and it knows that with the good report card, it will be rewarded, but with the bad report card, this is where it gets very interesting. They don't want to show that. They don't want the parents to see that. Usually when the little child now is a young adult who brings home his own report card and the parent got to sign off on it, the child don't want to go home. He hangs out. Or if they have to go home, they go and clean their house, wash the dishes, do everything right for their parent, so that the parent won't come and be in a bad mood. Sometimes they don't even show the report card till around 9, 10 o'clock, if that. So, you see, we develop these cunning skills and abilities to get our way, to get out of things, and it becomes the child ego. Now, in that, say, you know, a bully is bullying you, or you want something, we tended to fake a lot